Hi everyone, this is Jeanette, and in this recording we are continuing with the pressure point technique. We left off in the previous newsletter with how to utilize the pressure point technique in relation to parts of your body that you've been aware of or lived with for most of your life, that constantly and continuously cycles in cramps or discomforts and pains and ailments, and how the pressure point technique can assist and support in unlocking the deeper consciousness patterns that are cycling and recycling in your relationship with the way that you think, you talk with yourself, you respond or react to your external environment and the people within it, the nature of your personal relationships that you keep secret inside the confines of your own imagination, that you can, with the pressure point technique, unlock what of those realities and emotions inside yourself are contributing to the constant continuous cycling and recycling of pain in that particular specific spot in your body. All right, so the practical process we walked through in a nutshell was to identify the point in your body by applying the slight pressure of your thumb to it. Obviously, as we've said, if you're going to apply pressure to your body, there's going to be some slight discomfort. But you'll know when, even with the slightest pressure, you can feel there's a distinct pain. And that pain is tissue that is in stress and strain and a degree of discomfort. Applying that, then identifying the emotional energy that's moving in your solar plexus. That emotional energy, and defining that which you are aware of, that as that movement in your solar plexus is what's going to lead you to that subconscious or unconscious pattern that you're existing in and as in your everyday life, that you've become so accustomed to and used to and have made so natural that you kind of eventually even stopped questioning it. Not realizing the extent to which it's actually having an impact, not only on your self-experience, but also your physical body over time. And we left off with, in that recording, sharing how we'll continue in this newsletter with a pressure point technique and what exactly to do, once you have uncovered a particular pattern through using the pressure point technique. Many people ask, okay, what now? And I'll walk you through another example I've actually recently used as well on myself. I've had a pain right by my diaphragm, right in the center of my solar plexus, like literally in the center of my diaphragm. And it felt like a stinging pain sensation. And I've often in my life had these stinging pain sensations right there in the center of my diaphragm. And they've come and gone. But they've never been as extensive as it was on a recent visit where I was in the presence and company of people I hadn't been in quite some time, and an environment I hadn't been in quite some time. So, it was interesting because there were a lot of memories coming up within me of the people and of the environment. So I was processing through that, but then the familiar stinging pain came with more intensity than ever before. And then I remembered, my goodness, I've always experienced this stinging pain in my life. And these people who I was with was also a part of my life in the past where I used to experience the stinging pain quite often. So I thought, okay, this is now quite interesting. Now, obviously, nothing particularly in my thoughts or my reactions emerged, my emotions. So I used the pressure point technique to identify, okay, what energy is attached to this stinging pressure pain that's coming up? It's it almost sometimes feels like it's difficult to breathe, like it creates a pressure in my chest at the same time. And I felt this angst come up inside of me immediately, in my solar plexus, like all the tissue, parts and particles in my stomach were just contracting and almost writhing, as though in pain. And this massive angst, which is angst I define as a mix between anxiety, fear, and even resentment. And it's like, okay, then from there, I looked at where on earth am I accessing this in my relationship with the people I'm with at this time. And then I could see very particular, specific memories in my relationship with the people and the environment that I hadn't looked at in years, but had experienced over the years with these people in this environment. And so now that I've identified, those memories and why exactly I felt anxiety, the anxiety came from, feeling judged or fear of disappointing the people I was with. That was the anxiety and the fear. And then the resentment was, the comparing me to other people that was busy happening. So there was an anger that was built up in relation to the people I was with. So I had some memories that I had to forgive and deal with, which is what I did. I realized that all these happened in the past. I've got to make peace with it. I've got to put it to rest. I've got to work through the issues myself. And this is the first step that you need to do. You need to work through for yourself. You've got to resolve it. You've got to find closure for yourself, inside yourself. You have got to forgive yourself and them for the past. And have a look at realizing that there is a new opportunity. There was a new moment. Yes, everything was the same, but also different, because I was with the people in an environment that I hadn't been in years, and I had this opportunity to actually create something new, to be a different me as well. So I looked at all the moments where I felt I was going into anxiety and fear of not feeling good enough and feeling like I was going to disappoint. I was like, I've got to start being confident in who I am. I've got to start standing by my skills, talents, and techniques and be proud of that. So I practiced sharing more, with them. Whenever the fear and anxiety would come up, I'd start talking about my achievements, my successes, what I'm looking at pursuing. So I wouldn't dwell on my past and, everything that's making me feel less confident. But I'd look at, even in my words and my sharing, support my best. All right. So it's like you've got to analyze and assess what works for you in this process of, the moments where you become aware that you're accessing that emotion and experience or pattern that you identified with a pressure point technique. You've got to sit down. And the question I always ask myself is, how can I resolve this and change this to transform the moment, in that moment, with that something or that someone, in a better way for me, in a way that I would like to experience and relive over and over and over again. Because here I'm busy reliving and recycling in a pattern that is causing me emotionally and physically harm. And it is not creating a good experience for myself. So now that I can choose and push myself to, with awareness, deliberately rather live something different that I want to live, what is that going to be? And, again, if you struggle to find a solution or a resolution to an issue or a problem that you've identified with a pressure point technique, do ask here in the comments below. I'll gladly assist and support. Or you can also go to my self and living courses in my video sessions, where I share various practical life and living skills in relation to everyday life challenges, issues, and problems. And, you know, with having a listen to those videos and series, may just assist and support in developing and nurturing that skill that you have within you that you just haven't as of yet practiced, of being able to find solutions to problems or issues. All right, so then over the time, and I was there for quite some time with the people in this environment, and so what I did was, with a pressure point technique, firstly, you can also use your body as a cross-reference to see, okay, how effective was your practical approach in all of this, in really changing. So at the end of each day, I'd apply pressure in that very point where there was that prickling, stinging sensation, and I'd give it a percentage. So on the first day that I did the pressure point technique, I gave it a percentage, which felt like 180. And then after the first day, it still felt a bit close to that, but slightly less. So then I gave it about 160 percent, because it was really, really painful. Actually, I actually walked a little bit hunched because it was so sore. And then after the third day, it started lessening. So you can also work with pain percentages in your relationship with your body to give yourself a cross-reference of whether you're effectively walking through a point or not. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for listening.